Welcome to the Sports Betting Spotlight for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We are at the Sunset Station Sportsbook, and I'm joined by Bernie Fratto, radio personality, BernieFratto.com, and Chuck Esposito, Sunset Station Sportsbook director. This is our 32 for 32 series, NFL previews over 32 days, and today the spotlight is on the Chicago Bears. Chuck Esposito, a Chicago native. This one hits close to home for you. The only team to get shut out in week one of the NFL preseason. Is it an overreaction to think less of the Bears because of how they looked in week one of the preseason?
You know, I was afraid you were going to go there, Matt. I think they're the only team that got shut out week one. I know there's a lot of new faces on offense, and they've let some playmakers go over the last couple of years. You lose Brandon Marshall, you lose Matt Forte. I think maybe the one positive would be John Fox. I think you look at his last two coaching stints, and each year in year two, he improved by 4.5 wins. Yeah. He's the kind of coach that gets a lot out of his team. I thought they were overachievers last year on defense. I often said the best move they made in free agency last year was signing Fangio as their defensive coordinator. I think he helped a lot. Alshon Jeffrey's going to have to step up. You've got Kevin White, who was their number one pick last year, didn't play at all because of an injury. So you, in essence, have two number ones this year, Floyd and Kevin White. You've got Langford now at running back, but it all rests on Jay Cutler. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming preseason games. I think defensively they'll be much better, but they have to score points in this league. They're one of two teams in that division that got outscored last year.
It's not a good sign to say it all rests on Jay Cutler. Anyway, the Bears 6-10 last season, 1-7 at home, Bernie, but 5 losses by 6 points or fewer. This team wasn't that far away from being break even, let's say. What's your take on this Bears team?
Well, as Pete Rose once said, coaching is like driving a stagecoach. Without the horses, you're not going forward. The Bears had the 23rd ranked offense last year with Martellus Bennett, with Matt Forte, and with Adam Gase, who's on to Miami. The Bears bring in a new offensive coordinator, Dowell Gaines, who actually was a quarterback at Arkansas, while Cutler was a quarterback at Vanderbilt, so they're friends, so they're supposed to get along. But that doesn't necessarily mean the Bears are going to win. I think they're going to struggle mightily to score points. Chuck, I do agree with you. I like Vic Fangio running the defense. I do like John Fox. I think they'll improve by 1 game to 7-9. They've got some winnable home games against Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and San Francisco. And by the way, for what it's worth, not for nothing, in his tenure as a head coach, John Fox is 30-12 against the spread on the road. But the Bears are in a tough division. They struggle mightily offensively, and with a new offensive coordinator and the mercurial Jay Cutler, you really don't know what you're going to get. I think it's going to be a long year for the Bears. And by the way, as soon as I get home, I'm going to look up that word mercurial, whatever that means.
You know, with them too, I don't mean to interrupt, but you look at last year and how well Cutler played. For Jay Cutler, it was one of his better years. Jeffrey was hurt for a large portion of the season. He didn't have Kevin White. Eddie Royal was hurt. Bennett didn't finish the season. And you had an aging Matt Forte where you were kind of running in Langford. You had some injuries on the offensive line. So really for Jay Cutler, it was a really good year by Jay Cutler standards. So now if you've got a healthy Eddie Royal, a healthy Kevin White, a healthy Alshon Jeffrey, a couple of young backs, you've got Zach Miller at tight end, and if that defense can improve, you go out and you sign Danny Trevathan, you bring in Freeman, you draft all defense. With Floyd, you're trading up in the draft to get him. On paper, they look to be a better team, but that offense is going to have to score, and they were in a lot of close games last year, and maybe with those weapons and those guys healthy, it's a different offense, but again, very tough division to play in.
Boy, home game the Bears won last year was 22-20 over the Raiders, lost all the close ones, and Bernie, that's a great point.
But one in Green Bay, go figure.
Exactly. And Bernie made a good point there. John Fox teams were better on the road, and the Bears were a much better value for bettors on the road. All right, go ahead.
One final thought. You're right about Jay Cutler. Chuck, he had his best quarterback rating of his career last year, 92.5. He's going to need a lot more than that. John Fox teams do improve from year 1 to year 2, but only by 1 game.
All right, Cutler, 21 TDs, 11 picks last year. Not bad numbers, but the wins and losses weren't there. The Packers are 5-9 favorites to win the NFC North at Station Casino's books. The Bears a 10-1 shot, and the win total 7.5, shaded to the under, minus 130. Anything you like there, Chuck?
Well, I think last year, as we talked about, they only won 6 games. They were yet in so many of those games, they easily could have been a 500 team. And one thing I always look of, not only in professional football, but in all sports, if you can win on the road, I think you can learn to win at home. They had some bad breaks at home. They had a tough schedule last year. So I think that, that 7, maybe getting to 8 wins is very doable for the Bears. Tough place. I mean, they don't figure to win in Green Bay again. That's not a place that they go in and win frequently. We know Minnesota goes into a new stadium. They're much improved. Detroit and the Bears are probably the 2 teams that'll battle for, 3rd and 4th place in that division. But again, because I think they can win on the road, I think getting to that 7 or 8 win plateau isn't an impossible thing to happen.
If they do, it'll have to be done with defense, which points me to the under. I played the under the other night on a hunch when the Bears got shut out. I think they're going to struggle to score points, and we just mentioned why. There are too many untested, brand new offensive pieces and parts with the new offensive coordinator, and I think that spells trouble for the Bears offensively this year.
All right, I agree with you. I got the Bears at 7-9. That's a sports betting spotlight on the Chicago Bears.